Today we have a 2008 Dodge Charger. We'll be replacing the thermostat. So the thermostat is going to be located behind the power steering pump. If you follow the lower radiator hose, you'll notice where it's at. Just keep following. So in order to get to that region, first we're going to do is remove the drive belt. Using a 3/4 ratchet, we're going to release the tension in our pulley, removing the drive belt. We're also going to go ahead and remove our air box as well. Normally there would be a bolt here that would sit it in place, but this car's obviously missing it. So we'll go ahead with either, I believe it's number 8 socket or a flathead, remove this air hose here and just pull out the box, as well as remove this hose here as well. So we're going to go ahead and remove the air box as well as remove the drive belt. So we now have the drive belt off and moved to the side, as you can see, as well as the air box removed. We're going to go ahead and remove the power steering pump just to give us a little space to work with. We can be done with a 10mm socket. There are 3 bolts holding this power steering pump to the bracket here. One right above, one on the side here, and then one will be below. If you can see where my finger is right here tapping. In order to get to them, you will have to kind of spin this pulley around and put the socket inside. As you can see, there's little there's little holes you can place them in throughout. So we're gonna go ahead and start removing this power steering pump. Just kind of swing it up to the front to give us a little more clearance back there. So now with the power steering pump removed from the bracket and pushed out the way, I'm gonna go ahead and remove that hose, loosening that clamp, pulling the clamp back to the side, then pulling the hose back, just so I can get a little more room on the 4 bolts holding that in place. Really, you don't have to, you can get all the bolts, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now so we can get a clear view of all the bolts holding the thermostat in place. As you can see, I've removed the radiator hose. A lot of coolant leaked out, obviously. Probably about like, I don't know, a gallon or so. So now there will be a total of 4 10mm bolts. 4 technically, yeah. So I can't really get a good view of all of them, but I will surely get a view of it once I remove the housing of it. So first thing we're going to do is going to have to remove the 2 bottom ones. There's one, obviously, let's see if I can get it on camera here. Hold on a second. See where we are at. Okay. So there's one right there. Kind of pointing at it, I guess. That one's sticking out right there. That one actually has 2 nuts in there. So we have to remove the top nut first, as well as another one on the opposite side of there for that other radiator hose. It's going to be located on this end. So I guess, oh crap, I cannot give you a good view of this. This is just wasting your time, guys. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and remove everything for that hose there first. And then I will remove the thermostat housing as well. And then once I have the whole thermostat, I'll give you a view of where everything is located. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm going to use a number 10 socket with the swivel to get it all out. So let's get to it. Alright, so a couple things. I've already did take the 2 nuts out, holding that lower hose, the lower line in place. However, during the process of doing so, I also removed this bolt up here, holding part of this bracket for the power steering pump, in order for me to move the dipstick over a little bit, just give me a little extra room. So I did struggle for a minute. I've done this once before, and I removed the AC compressor off the bracket to get a little more clearance, just trying something a little different. It's a little of a struggle, probably about the same amount of time struggling to do that as it would have taken to take off the AC compressor off the bracket. It's like 3 bolts holding the AC compressor. But anyways, we've already done this method. So I've taken the 2 nuts holding this line in place. Now I'm just gonna pull it out. And once I pull it out, oh well, I'm gonna need to get a little leverage, so both my hands are gonna be in there. But anyways, once I pull that line out, there'll be another nut below the other line, below the line itself on the stud that holds the thermostat in place, as well as one more bolt up top for the thermostat. So I'm gonna get this line out of the way, remove the other 10mm nut, as well as the bolt up top, and then once I have the actual housing out, I can give y'all a view of where they were all located. Alright y'all, so I apologize how this video is going. Like I said earlier, I was trying to do a new method of just working around the AC compressor to get the bolts out. But now that I've remembered how this actually works, there's actually a total of 4 nuts. So if you see right here, you'll see directly where I was working with. Let's see if we can get it right there. So I've already removed the 2 nuts holding the lower line in place. There are 2 more that hold thermostat housing in place, as well as 1 more bolt at the top. So the way these studs are angled, it's kind of difficult to get through to remove them. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the AC compressor. You don't have to raise the vehicle. I just did just so I can get a good view on camera. So normally this AC compressor would have 3 bolts holding it in place. However, someone's obviously replaced this before because there would be a 3rd bolt up top. Usually it's pretty difficult to get in there and get out. So I guess they just completely omitted it. So we're gonna be removing this bolt here, as well as the one up top. I believe these are both number 12 or 13, so we're gonna go ahead and remove that. All right, y'all. So I went ahead and removed the compressor off the bracket. In your case, you're gonna have 3 bolts. Someone replaced this one before, so there's only 2. Also, I wouldn't even try to say like what bolts were holding it because it doesn't even seem like they were the correct bolts in the first place. I had a 10 at the bottom and a 13 at the top, so I'm not even sure that's even the correct bolts that you would use or you would be removing if you were to move the AC compressor out the way. But anyways, so now it's kind of dropped out of the way, giving us proper clearance right here. As you can see, I've even moved this line up front, up to the top. So now, if you can see on camera, let me see if I get a good angle here. Probably not, but from the last scene, as you can tell, there's that stud right there. There's another one on the other side. We're gonna put a long 10mm socket in there, removing the 2 bolts or 2 nuts holding that in place at the bottom. And then we're gonna come up top and you'll see that little bolt up there behind the line. We're also gonna go ahead and remove that and get that housing out. All right, y'all, so I know I got this removed here. Just wanted to show you where everything will be located. So this bolt will be at the top, like so. Then these 2 bolts at the studs would be like this. So if you did not remove the AC compressor, you would be fighting a little bit to get this one off here. So I went ahead and just removed it. So pretty much this is how it looks with 2 nuts right there as well. So now we're gonna just go ahead and clean everything off. Clean all the silicone off the surface as well as on here. And get ready to put our new thermostat in. All right, so I've cleaned up the surface as well as I replaced the O-ring on the top of that line there. I've also prepared the thermostat here with some silicone. We're gonna go ahead and set it in place. It goes in this direction like so. Be sure that the thermostat has that little part up top like so. So I'm gonna go ahead and set that in and then get ready to put all the bolts back in place. So I now have everything bolted down. The 3 bolts holding that in place, as well as the 2 nuts holding that bottom line in place. So now I'm gonna go ahead and reinstall the radiator hose and put the clamp back on. After that, I'm gonna go ahead and put the AC compressor back together and as well as plugging it back in. So I now have the AC compressor reinstalled, plugged in, radiator hose back on. I'm gonna go ahead and install the power steering pump here. Just gotta slide it back like so. Put it back into position, just like that. And go ahead and put the bolts into place. So power steering pump, reinstalling the bracket. I also went ahead and put the dipstick back onto the bracket as well. As you recall, I did take that off. So now I'm gonna put the drive belt on. Because of the orientation I put it on, it still kind of stayed in position of where it should be. So I'm just gonna be sure to put everything back to normal. Normally I would put it at the end of this video, but the way the orientation is set up in the video, it always comes out looking weird. So you guys can just Google it, you can find it. So I'm gonna put that drive belt back on and then put the airbox back in. So as y'all can see, I have the drive belt reinstalled, the airbox installed, hose clamp is tightened down. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add coolant, make sure to match up the kind of coolant the car is using. With the number 10, I'm gonna go ahead and loosen this like so, loosen the bleeder, and then fill her up until it bleeds out. So as you can see, after putting some coolant in, it's come out. So we go ahead and tighten this down. And now we're just gonna fill her up until it gets the max fill line, which it looks like it has already. So we're all good. So thanks for watching, y'all. Please like and subscribe. More videos to come.